and welcome to the Geary, Stein, and Steven Show, an amazing video podcast with sports stars, entertainment celebrities, and other great guests, combining one host who has no legs, one host who lives in Duluth, Minnesota, and another host who seems to never be on the show. But now, on to the show with Troy, Dave, and maybe even Will.
Whoa. Hello, everybody, and welcome to an amazing, exciting episode of the Geary, Stein, and Steven Show. I'm so excited for today. I've been waiting for this moment for 28 years for our guest that we're going to bring on in a second. I just got back from D.C. Troy is back from Kansas City. Troy, how are you doing, brother, and what's going on in your world up in Duluth, Minnesota?
I'm doing great, Dave. I had a good weekend in Kansas City, some charity events. Saw the Chiefs and Bears play. That was a debacle. But I'm back home, and the weather is starting to turn.
And you got to hang out with a famous guy from Ted Lasso, right?
Yeah, Brendan Hunt, a really cool guy. We did a charity thing for the Children's Hospital down there, and he graciously came in for the weekend, and it was fun.
Well, I'm excited. So we'll bring in video, we'll bring in graphics, we'll do all that kind of fun stuff. But I want to bring in a guy that when I started in ESPN in 1995, I had a crush on him, and I don't mean it in a weird way. I just thought his humor was funny. He just made SportsCenter fun to watch. With the feel-good edition of SportsCenter, and then he went on to Late Night and Daily Show, and we'll talk about movies and everything. But Craig Kilborn joining us from California today. So, Gregor, thanks for joining us, bud. How are you?
It's good to be here. Good to see you again. So proud of you guys. Wait, did I hear someone's a Bears fan? What's going on here?
No. I was just okay. Their Chiefs were playing the Bears.
I know, but you said it was a debacle.
Well, yeah.
I thought you were upset that the Bears lost.
No. Okay. Nobody's a Bears fan around here.
I assume we're Vikings fans. Is that all three of us or not?
Well, the season's over, so I'm moving on.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah. But
so when you say when you say the season's over, you mean even if we win 7 games, we're not going to make the playoffs. But even if we win 7 games, it's over because we're not going to make the playoffs. Is that correct?
As a fan, the ultimate is to get to the Super Bowl, and if you already know you're just going to be the team that can knock off the Packers from getting there or whoever, so I we got the Twins to worry about. We hopefully can end that 18 game losing streak in the playoffs. So
what's I follow the Twins from afar. What's the latest on the injury to Roy? What's his name? Royce Lewis.
Royce Lewis is a hamstring.
Royce Lewis
should be back for the playoffs.
Good. Royce O'Neal, of course, an NBA ball player. I was not. I follow baseball a little bit, man. I used to see Cesar Tovar and Rod Carew play at the old Met.
That's so funny. Yeah, the old Met. So you ended up in Minnesota, and you ended up playing sports there, and then moving on to Montana State as a basketball player, of course. And we'll talk a little bit about that. There's one of
that form.
Those
release rotation splash. That was. I think I scored 16 that game.
And what about this that you benched 240? Is that a rumor? Or is that just somebody threw that in Wikipedia?
No, I said it on a Ryan Russillo podcast, and they threw it in there. But I'm a very skinny guy who has kind of a massive chest, but I've always lifted weights, and I could, when you max out at college at Montana State, I was able to arch my back and get 240 up. Can't do it anymore.
Well,
but
of course.
I was stronger under the boards than people realize.
And, of course, you played in the Big Sky, which one of the few West Coast conferences that's going to still exist after this year. But I've always been a diehard Lumberjack guy from NAU. They had that one time they almost beat Cincinnati. But anyway.
Flagstaff. Yeah. I've been there. We played there. Nice area in the mountains.
All right, let's dive in. Troy, what do you want to hammer my buddy Craig?
I want to ask you about ESPN. I mean, you had some great highlights and catchphrases. What was your favorite highlight or athlete that you talked to and catchphrase that you started?
Let's see. I didn't talk to a lot of athletes at ESPN. I was always in the studio at 2 a.m. And then getting to bed at 4 a.m. But so we had the catchphrases, release, rotation, splash, and all those things. But and everyone did them, and the people would give me them. I liked writing them myself, and then I decided, because I gave away a couple good ones, I decided to listen to the people, and do some catchphrases. But here's what I like doing. I would do the intros, on camera before we went to the highlights. And I remember Akeem Olajuwon had been out for 2 weeks because he had anemia, and he wasn't able to play. And then it was his first game back, and I had called my brother, and I said, "So Akeem is going to play tonight. We just talk hoops." And he said, I said, he had anemia, but he's playing tonight. He goes, "Oh, his red cell count must be up then if he's playing." And it's, sparked the agile mind. So I did the intro. I said, Akeem Olajuwon back after missing 2 weeks with anemia. Let's go to the highlights. First quarter, into Akeem, the dream shake. Oh, the red cell count is up as he hits the shot. And then we give him the ball again, and he makes another shot. Oh, hemoglobin. So that was fun for me, being a little silly and irreverent, making my brother laugh. Those kind of things were fun for me to do.
And Craig, I know, because I was in that newsroom, there were people that didn't get you. I don't know what your interaction with Bob Lee was, or the people that were serious journalists, because you had almost a Dennis Miller approach where your jokes and things, sometimes it's a minute later and you're like, oh, that reference to, Pindare the poet, or the Trojan War, or some of the things that
Right.
you would just throw in there. I just was wondering, some of those diehards like Boomer and those guys, if they didn't get you, or you just sat back in that very back with Gus Ramsey and those folks and just kind of worked on your own thing.
Well, actually, Bob Lee was great to me, very supportive. Because I would walk in, in the late afternoon, and he was there, and he'd say, "I like that Barry White reference, Craig." He was very supportive. And I just wanted to let you know something else. Sometimes people would say at the beginning, "Oh, you're like Dennis Miller," which is a compliment because Dennis Miller is brilliant. But some of the people were trying not to compliment me, and I'll tell you why they're wrong. I love educating people. I'm going to correct people now. When Dennis Miller started out, they used to say, "Oh, he's doing Richard Belzer." So when I started out, "Oh, he's a little Dennis Miller." And of course, Dennis Miller, who is brilliant, we're very, very different. And if you check out my Instagram, it's a whole different aristocratic sensibility with ascots and martinis. But that's how people think sometimes. But everyone was supportive there. I mean, there were a few people, executives, who didn't get it, but they don't. We all have a different sense of humor. I mean, not everyone gets Jay Leno. Not everyone gets what's the blue collar comedy people called, Ron White and Jeff Foxworthy. So these people are definitely funny, but it's just a different kind of humor.
Well, I miss you. You were such a, it was that short, brief 3 years of just fun. We used to
3
come home from the
years
bars
at
and
ESPN, 3 years at the Daily Show, 5 years at the CBS Late Late Show, my favorite show.
And I've heard that. And Craig, and I don't mean this in a negative way. You had this time period where you were like a Spice Girl. You had all these hits. You did a lot of different things, and then you just kind of rode off into the sunset. And when we miss you, and I'm just wondering, the evolution of, and I've seen, what you told Rich Eisen about, how you left and all those things. Everything seemed to be on your terms, and I think that must be more refreshing than most people at ESPN that are shown the door or not renewed.
Yeah, which Spice Girl would you say I was like? Because I'm very curious. No,
Baby
I've never
Spice.
been described.
You had that boyish charm, so you were kind of like Emma Bunton, Baby Spice, I'd say.
So no, I don't expect a lot of people to understand it. It's a favorite subject of mine. I was able to accomplish my career goal of late night, and then I realized I didn't really want to do it anymore. I always say creatively I got bored, because that's the number one reason. If creatively that's all I wanted to do, I would have just stayed there and put up with any of the silliness or the dysfunction. But it was an exhilarating day when I left. I know some people don't understand it, but there are people that do understand it. The other thing I would say is it never got ugly at CBS because I just walked away. But if I wanted to stay there, I don't think that show was set up for victory. I thought it was more of a placeholder. Letterman owned it. He's trying to compete with Leno. If I wanted to replace Letterman, which I didn't want to, I just wanted to get out. If I wanted to replace him, I should not have been doing that job because they were not grooming a replacement. Why would they? So that's another secondary reason. But the main reason is lost interest in pop culture comedy, talking politics. And it was a happy day when I gracefully exited.
Happy for you, bad for us, right?
Well, I do have the Life Gorgeous podcast, and my favorite thing I do, I know it's simple, but it's my Instagram. It's probably one of the most satisfying things I've done. I can show a picture of myself up in beautiful Carmel and then do a little quip. Oh, there's Alex Sulkin right there. There I am in the desert, young people. So the Instagram, Mr. Craig Kilborn, is a blast.
And what do you like to put out there? And it shows you're almost like the guy from Saturday Night Live, the Intercontinental. It's like you've got wine, you're tasting, you're in a boat, you're doing all kinds of fun stuff that we all wish we were doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I have kind of a relaxing life. I like architecture. I'm now in my mahogany paneled den. This house was built in 1923. It's in a historic area in Los Angeles. I like to joke that I don't really see a lot of people. I go straight from my den to a French restaurant in Los Angeles. My favorite thing to do is with my significant other, Princess Cherry, we get in the car and take a road trip because I don't enjoy flying. And we go up to Santa Barbara, Carmel, San Francisco, Morro Bay, San Luis Obispo. We got a trip coming up. We might be going, I don't want to give it away. We might be going to Bodega Bay, which I've been to once. That's where they film the birds. And then I take pictures, try to eat relatively healthy, make sure I hike and drink in moderation. And that's my life.
Sounds like a good life.
I love it.
I want to ask you about the opportunity for the Late Late Show. How did that happen? And then do you have to audition for that, or what was the process like?
CBS Late Late Show was Tom Snyder was retiring, and CBS wanted a younger host who was comedic. And I was kind of red hot off the Daily Show because at the Daily Show we were nominated early on for. Well, actually, we won Best Late Night Comedy by one of the TV Guide, and then I was nominated for an award as Best Host. So I got, it was. I'll tell you something. A couple inside stories of the Daily Show. Number one, they told me there, hey, Craig, we're the underdog. The critics like us. So the critics embraced the Daily Show when I was there. The other thing about the Daily Show, which I'll probably talk about at some point on my podcast, The Life Gorgeous, is it was easily the most dysfunctional place I worked. And because the network innocently set it up the wrong way with the executive producer first, the host second. And I knew it was messed up. But after I left to CBS, the problems remained, and they got rid of the executive producer and a whole bunch of other people. And I always tell people Late Night 101, it's always the host's show. So it was a weird place. I thoroughly enjoyed it because I could ignore the silliness. I scored on the air, and then I got out of there.
Was it weird to go from the Sports Center where you're doing, highlights of Albany and Troy, and suddenly you're sitting with Chevy Chase and you're sitting there with Rodney Dangerfield, and all these icons of the world are now sitting next to you, and you control the narrative?
It was something that some executives told me I was born to do, but I almost didn't take the ESPN job. I love sports. My childhood was basketball and comedy. I've always followed sports. Now I get to follow exactly what I want to. Sorry, NHL. But I almost didn't take the ESPN job because I wanted to do comedy so badly. In my 20s and 30s, it was all about comedy, my comedy. And then as you get older, you get a little more well-rounded, in some ways well-rounded. I like to joke that I'm not well-rounded. I care about what I care about: jazz music, fine food, fashion, British spy novels, that kind of stuff. But it was an easy transition for me. It was something I thought I was meant to do, is to do late night.
Speaking of well-rounded, since I have no legs, I'm well-rounded on this ground, and I'm wearing my fresh, clean threads. And we're going to continue this conversation with Craig Kilborn coming up after we pay some bills. So don't go away. You're watching Geary, Stein, and Stevens, or listening, depending if you're on Apple or Spotify.
Hi, everybody. Dave Stevens here for the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show from Tropicana Field, home of the Tampa Rays. And you know what? Not everybody can be a Major League Baseball player, but you can look like $1 million. What's the best way to do that? Well, go to freshcleanthreads.com. Don't believe me? That's right. You can look professional, feel good, and not spend a lot of money by wearing Fresh Clean Threads. They have amazing shirts. They've got Henleys and polos, long sleeves, and even bomber jackets. And if you like them, you can save some money by typing in the show code GSS Show from the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show to save 20% off. So if you can't be a major leaguer and you want to dress like one, well, go to freshcleanthreads.com. That's freshcleanthreads.com. Tell them Dave sent you. Use that code GSS Show.
Yeah. See, how good do I look in my Fresh Clean Thread shirt? And, again, help us out here. It's great shirts. Of course, they've been big supporters for the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show. And my guest is Craig Kilborn. And as we talked, he has been an actor. He's been a writer, comedian. He's done so many things. Did he ever sing? Did Craig Kilborn ever sing? I think he did.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. I'll have guests like Janine, alternative and independent. And like Vince, he is tall, so am I, but he's a movie star. Loved him in Jurassic Park, The Lost World.
Oh, such a well-rounded guest, Craig. I mean, you got to have fun doing that show and doing, the things, the skits and things like that. I mean, was that really fun when you're in a room creating almost Saturday Night Live type comedy?
It says the host unmuted your mic.
This
is a new technique for me. It's funny. I actually kind of sang on key there. I'm not a good public singer because I sing off key very often. But tell me your question again, because I was looking that it said unmuted. What was your question?
Oh, just that when you were on those shows, you got to almost have Saturday Night Live-esque type skits, writers, putting all that kind of stuff. It had to be fun, some of those wild ideas and the things that you got to do that, again, you weren't doing on a SportsCenter set.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dream come true. It was easily my favorite gig, the CBS job. I'm still friends with some of the writers, Goldie, Gibby, Alex Sulkin. We'd come up with some great bits. And we had 5 questions. We had Yambo, recreate a press photo. I got to talk to Kermit the Frog. Yeah. And so, no, it was a blast. I mean, those guys, they've even said they've gone on to write on Family Guy, and they just said their best time was on the CBS Late Late Show. Those 3 guys I put on camera because they had done stand-up, and they're very funny.
And I mean, I think you can probably, people said, oh, how could James Corden walk away, blah, blah, blah. But I think you can associate with what that decision is like, because the world's like, oh, you can't do that, but it's not Craig Kilborn. And I think, people still look at that and go, how could you ever just walk away from, the heir apparent potentially to run late night?
Yeah. It was a bit of a grind, but I could pace myself. We had 7 writers and Conan had 18 writers and Jimmy Kimmel had 12 writers. So, and they also had a band. I think occasionally I was able to get a harmonica on set, but that was about it. But no, it sounds like, I know that some people are disappointed I left. You might be leading the charge, Dave. I don't know that you're disappointed that I left. And I always apologize, but I still think I am giving back again with the Instagram and the podcast, but just rest easy that I had a blast doing that show, getting that show, but I really enjoyed leaving. It was just so cathartic.
Troy?
How much fun did you have playing a smug a-hole in Old School with Will Ferrell and Luke Wilson and all those guys?
I enjoyed it. I mean, I had one good scene in the bathroom, and then I had another good scene, but they took it out. But the director, Todd Phillips, they put it on the DVD outtakes because he liked it when I was talking to the little kid. And I called her a name. It was pretty fun. But no, it was my first time doing it. I remember I got a little bad advice from a good friend of mine. Said, you know, it's film. Don't go over the top. Be understated. And then so one of my couple scenes I was a little understated. But then I did the bathroom scene 3 days in or second day or something, and it went well. So loved it. It's a great movie.
And I mean, did it pigeonhole you though? Because you played such a jerk so well. Did
Yeah.
people think that's who Craig is, and we can't have him do more roles? Or I mean,
What happens is when you have the lead characters in the movie, then other actors who are gifted, like you can look at the Bond villains, they have to play the bad guy. Once you've already have Daniel Craig as Bond, then you're going to have the bad guys, and you'll have some great actors. Javier Bardem played one of the best villains in Skyfall. It's one of my favorite Bond movies. So that's just the way it works out.
so
I think I just compared myself to Javier Bardem. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, we miss you. I know you've done some TV things and Chuck and things like that. I mean, is there still acting in your blood, or is that, again, you've done that, you've moved on, and now you're on to bigger and better things?
Well, I don't know if it's bigger and better. It's just kind of relaxing, but I would say there's not a lot I want to do. That's what I always say. It's pretty narrow. I would play a character that's similar to my character on Instagram, which is more like a Alec Baldwin on 30 Rock, or Fraser Crane, which is my favorite sitcom. But it's pretty narrow.
And let's talk about the podcast. I mean, the Life is Gorgeous. It's doing well. It's got a lot of views and clicks, and you've got a YouTube channel. And so tell us a little bit what it's behind, because, again, it really shows off a different side of Craig that we haven't seen in a while.
By the way, you're very adept at all your videos and all your elements on your podcast. I'm impressed.
We're going to work together. We're going to get rid of Troy. We'll just start our own thing and move on to the sunset. So
I've been waiting for that.
But tell us about the podcast, because
Wow.
you get to talk to guys that are cartoon writers, actresses, all kinds of people that have been in your life or that you've worked with or crossed paths with, like Michelle Beadle. So, I mean, tell us what it is and why viewers that are watching us should tune into you.
By the way, you just called Family Guy a cartoon, which would make them extremely upset.
Well,
It's animation.
Seth hasn't returned my texts or emails or anything to get him on. So,
Right.
No, I just was, I just, it's really a great podcast, and I didn't know,
Thank you.
behind it and what's
Yeah.
going on.
So what happened was in 2018, I decided to join Instagram because my nieces, I wanted them to know their uncle was funny, and I was going out a lot, and I enjoy wearing a blazer and a vest and having a martini once a week, and the pictures were great. And they said, you got to get on Instagram. So I got on Instagram, and of course, I was being clever and doing videos and having fun. And but people they wanted me to do a podcast, and I joked that I wanted to be the only man in America without a podcast. I took a very, very long time, and I'm merely doing it to give back to the old fans. I mostly talk with my friends. I talk with buddies from Minnesota, buddies from late night, my writer friends, and occasionally I'll get on, Alex Rodriguez, or I'll have on the head coach of the Wolves, Chris Finch. I'm a big Timberwolves fan, and so I'm enjoying it. And I don't know when this is airing, but we have next week an actress named Maggie Lawson who was on a show called Psych. And we just did that interview the other day, and I didn't know that she enjoys martinis like myself. So that was a fun interview.
Speaking of Minnesota sports, which one will be the first one to win a title? Your Timberwolves, or is it the Wild or the Vikings? Maybe the Twins.
Right now, this will be shocking, but I think the Timberwolves have the best chance. And I know that's stunning, but you're asking, it's championship, because I don't see that big of a gap between the best team in the NBA or best teams in the NBA and the Timberwolves. We lost 4-1 to Denver, missing some of our top players. We played well, and I still think the chemistry is coming with Rudy and Kat and everybody. We were fortunate to have Anthony Edwards. So I would say I always look to see who's the best team in the NBA or the best team in the NFL. I think the Vikings are, because I really respect the 49ers. I have for the last few years. When the Vikes had that great year last year, and then they lost at home to the Giants, which you can't lose a playoff game at home. But there was a relief because we would have gone to San Francisco and gotten, killed. So I would say the Timberwolves are the team that might be closest to a championship.
And I heard Alex Rodriguez said you could have a spot on the float. Is that true?
That's what I asked him. That's what he said. I don't know if that day will ever come. I hope so. But I may decline. I'm not part of the team. I just said I wanted to at least drive the float if possible.
Craig, has it been hard to be out in California and still be a fan of the Twins and the Vikings and everything, or have you had to pop over to other games and enjoy it? Are you still a sports fan?
Yeah, I watch too much NBA. I watch every Timberwolves game, and the NFL is special, so that wears me out. So I those are the two sports I follow: the NFL and the NBA. And no, there are a lot of transplants here in Los Angeles. A lot of Celtic fans, a lot of Knicks fans, all over. Because people move from the East Coast, everybody comes to LA, so it's fine. And there are actually some Wolves fans out here, if you can believe that.
And of course, we also want to talk about, Craig, hold on for just a second. Another one of our sponsors is Betalytics, and it'll help you with your bets. And again, this is Troy, this is your world, but it'll help you parlay bets and decide who's going to do what on a Tuesday, and if the Miami Dolphins are going to score 80 points this week. But Troy, explain a little bit about Betalytics.
Yeah, they each give you a grade if it's a good bet or a bad bet, point differential, all kinds of stuff. So definitely gives you an advantage if you're going to bet.
Craig, have you ever gambled too much or done much or dabbled in that kind of world? Or I don't want to go Charles Barkley here, but
I'm not a big gambler. I haven't done it for years, but in the 90s, the few times I went to Vegas to the sports book, I would bet on the NBA because I know the NBA. But I was pretty conservative with it. This is all I would do. So the Bulls were the team of the 90s, and I was there during the regular season, and they would be playing at San Antonio because they'd have the list of games, and I just looked for the top team, the Bulls, and they were favored by 16 at San Antonio. And I said, see, they're overrating the Bulls because the Bulls, they 4-2 they beat the Jazz. 4 games to 2 they beat Seattle. The only series that was 4-1 was against the Lakers at the beginning. Magic and Vlade Divac and Sam Perkins. So I would bet against the Bulls winning by 16 because it was inflated. The margin of victory was inflated. So I would say it'd be less than 16. And if you're sitting down, I won like $40.
That's like Phil Mickelson type stuff there. Craig, I'm wondering, you still communicate with some of the ex-ESPNers and stuff. And I think your last appearance was at 2004, possibly.
Something like that.
Would you come back for, if they try to pull everybody out of mothballs, would you look forward to coming back for 45 next year?
You mean a reunion?
Yeah.
Is this a reunion party or on the air reunion?
I want to see you guys doing a SportsCenter. Either you or Keith, or you or Dan, or
I'm such a nice young man. I'm open. I'll consider it. I'm open to anything. I'd prefer it if it was just drinks. I don't want to have to put on that I just wear so much makeup. Oh my God.
But your
two.
lighting is good, and I'm sure
That's
Norby
the
will want you up
sunshine.
there, right? Norby will get you up in there in Bristol and put you up at the. We got nicer hotels now than when you were here. So
I thought Norby retired.
is that what they call it?
No,
I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
No, there's been so much turnover, but Craig, as we wrap up, are there things still left undone that you haven't done? Kilimanjaro, or running in the Preakness, or
Well, there's an oversight as far as travel. I don't know if you guys have been. I'm curious to see where you guys have been, and I'm going to ask that after I answer. But I've never been to Italy. I've been to Paris. I've been to London. I've been to Germany. Been to Switzerland, Geneva, Switzerland. I went to South America in the 90s to both Buenos Aires and Rio de Janeiro. Never been to Italy. That's my big oversight. And of course, then I have to go to Spain and Greece and everything. But Italy's the big one. That's where I got to go. What about you guys? Have you been over to Europe?
I've been to Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia. But I have a friend. I think he's traveled a bit. And let's see, Kenny Mayne, are you out there? Kenny Mayne, you wanted to come in and say hi to Craig.
20 some years, I remember when he came to me and said that I have two options. I can go be in comedy or basketball thing, and he took off, and then he left. He never missed him.
Well, Craig, say hi to Kenny.
This is live, huh?
Well, he is. Yes, he has jumped in our feed just to say hi to you.
Oh, hi, Kenny. I'm a big fan. We met years ago. I hope you remember me. I don't remember your arms being quite that big. So how many curls a day do you do?
I'm not lifting enough. Gretchen, my wife, made fun of me and said, suck in your gut. I shot a little video. Go Mariners. They just need to win four straight and have the Astros lose one. I feel good about it. I hadn't heard from you. I saw you at a Breeders' Cup. That's the last time I saw you, Los Angeles, California.
Oh, wow.
Santa Anita.
I
think we hugged. We hugged each other. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm available. Yeah, I'm available for more hugs next time you're in LA.
Okay.
And I just I'll be wearing a long sleeve shirt. I don't know if you can. Your guns are huge, man. I don't remember that.
It's all I got left. I like warm to go. Otherwise, I'm limping around with my leg brace, and I'm playing golf right now at Tungus. So you said it was a great track. You used to play pickup basketball with the good hooper, Montana.
Well, I only played a couple games at Bristol because of my sleep pattern. I was getting to bed at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. I could hoop, but I didn't get to show off enough at ESPN. But I think some people know. Yeah. Pistol Pete.
No,
no defense.
Sorry, I think it was Montana.
Yeah,
Montana State.
Montana State, the basketball power. Could shoot and pass, but the defensive stance hurt my lower back, so I couldn't do that.
Well,
if you'd have just hung on a couple, go ahead.
Craig invited me to play. We just wanted to bang, hustle, get some hustle points. We love you. Dave said, jump in and say hi, and that's what I just did.
Nice to see you, brother. I hope your golf game is going well. I, of course, am smart enough not to play golf anymore. I haven't touched a club in 20 years, and that's why I'm so happy.
Okay. Well, when we're done, Kenny, I'll send you guys each other's numbers, and you guys can have some nice warm memories. Kenny, enjoy the rest of your day on the golf course, and thanks for popping in.
We're going to be best friends.
Thank you.
This is your life. And now your high school coach. No.
Where does Kenny live? Do you know?
He has two places. He's up in Seattle, and he's also, I think, up in Avon when we can get together and see each other. So
so he still has a place in Connecticut.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So that was nice.
What's his address at Avon? I'd like to send him a gift basket.
Let me just announce it, and let me put it. Hold on a second.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
No, that was nice of Kenny to join us. I like to do surprises and make them nice to just bring back good memories. Because again,
He was hilarious. One of
He
the
was.
funniest guys there.
You
Very
guys did
dry.
I think you guys may have done 3 or 4 shows together. I mean,
Not enough. I think I only remember a couple. Yeah.
So thank you, Kenny Mayne, for dropping in. And as we were talking about places that we want to be and places Troy, any place you want to go that you haven't been to yet?
Yeah, I haven't been to Italy either, so we should all go.
They were trying to talk me out of coming out of retirement and play some football next year in Ireland, but I don't know if we're going to get to that point. So, but as we wrap up, Craig, I just wanted to again say thank you so much and tell people how they can find the podcast, the YouTube channel, and of course your Instagram page.
So the Life Gorgeous podcast is once a week. And it's on YouTube channel, the Craig Kilborn YouTube channel. And it's also on all the other places, Apple, Spotify, iHeart. And then my favorite thing is my iconic Instagram, Mr. Craig Kilborn, showing slices of my magical life where I eat so healthy, take a lot of naps.
And of course, a lot of martinis, right?
Well, yeah, I say it once a week, but when I travel, it's one every other day, but that's okay.
You ever going to write a book? You got enough stuff in there to talk about. So,
I've talked about it a long time. I'm not ready to rehash everything, then write it right now, but it'll be fun. It'll be mostly about the magical life and the anecdotes. And I do have a different perspective on life than most people. There are a lot of, I remember working late night, there were some malcontents, and I've always been kind of positive energy. So I'll talk about ignoring the silliness and enjoying life and staying positive and all that kind of fun stuff.
Oh, you did your own thing. You set out to do what you wanted to do. And unlike people that stay too long, you realized, hey, I've done this. It isn't, what I thought. And my humor is not what I thought it would be for this. And then you conquered late night and then movies. And, you still getting your 17-cent residual checks now that we're both.
Oh, I got one from Benchwarmers the other day. It was substantial. Some of them are really, low. And then some of them are, it's.
Well, I do have to make a plug now that we're both on Netflix. You can check Craig's old movies, or you can watch The Saint of Second Chances, which came out last week. It's been overwhelming, the positive response, the story of Mike Vack, and again, my little part of playing minor league baseball. So all of our fans go out there and check that. And Troy, final thoughts?
Well, I got to ask a fifth and final question to top
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was your favorite athlete or celebrity that you interviewed over your career?
Good question. If I had to I usually say Bill Murray was my favorite because I interviewed him at the Daily Show a couple times, and then I interviewed him. He did my first show on CBS. However, Clint Eastwood. When I worked in Monterey, California, the 110 market, Salinas, Santa Cruz, Monterey, I lived in Carmel, and I was the sports guy, and the news lady was Dina Ruiz. And we were neighbors, and she worked at a different station in Salinas, Monterey. I worked at another station, but we became friends, and we remain friends to this day. She follows me on Instagram, and we chat once in a while. But when I moved to ESPN from Salinas, Monterey, Carmel, Dina called me and said, I'm dating Clint Eastwood. And then she called me later and said, I'm marrying Clint Eastwood. So I could tell you a story for another day, but when I was doing the Daily Show in New York, Clint and Dina were visiting in Manhattan. She says, you want to go have dinner with us? So I had dinner with Clint and Dina twice in Manhattan in the 90s at Nobu and whatever the name of the other place is, a famous place. And then when I did the CBS show, she got him on my show as a guest. And so he would probably be my favorite guest. I'm a big Clint fan. He's pretty amazing with how long he's been doing it.
And he played comedy well in that moment because you were trying to impersonate him, and he just sat there, looked like Clint Eastwood. I mean, Good sport.
By the way, Baltazar is the other restaurant, as the Agile Mind remembers. But no, I watched, like the other day, I rewatched Dirty Harry and Play Misty for Me, which was shot in Carmel. I watch In the Line of Fire over and over again with John Malkovich. That's Clint. His best movie may be Unforgiven. So he's the man. So I think I usually say Bill Murray, but I'm going to say Clint Eastwood, my favorite guest.
Yeah, the mayor of Carmel at one time, right?
All right.
Yes, in the 80s. Yep.
Well, then this is ad lib. I'm just going to pull it out, Troy. So 5 questions for Craig because
here we go.
He made it. Favorite Minnesota athlete of all time?
You think I'm going to say Kevin Garnett. You think that. Should I be present and say Anthony Edwards or Justin Jefferson?
It's your all-time. You got a lot of Minnesotans watching, so.
I'm going to be optimistic and say Anthony Edwards.
Okay, we'll go with that one. Best musician from Minnesota?
Prince. Over Dylan. Yes.
That's a good
plays
one.
More instruments.
I agree.
Better live show. Dances slightly better than Dylan.
It's a close one, but I agree.
That's a good one. Best, let's see, politician from Minnesota.
They named the dome after Hubert H. Humphrey. I don't know. Who am I missing? I don't know if I have.
Al Franken?
I love Al Franken.
Al, right?
I love Al Franken.
Or Jesse. You can't go wrong with Jesse.
I'll go Al Franken.
Best restaurant in Minnesota. In Minneapolis.
I've got a few. I know these people. So my guy is David Fema. He has Fema's and now he has Mason Margot, which is unbelievable. I liked Meritage in St. Paul. It's a French restaurant. I also like the Lexington, the Lex in St. Paul. I also like Manny's Steakhouse.
Oh,
yeah. So that's enough. That's enough. I also like Gavin's place, Spoon and Stable, and he has a couple other ones. So I gave you 5 because I've got friends in me.
All right. And on our 5th and final question, best college basketball game that you ever played and why?
You mean that I played in?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you could have given out some water and it helped them win, but you personally.
It was the first game I started. They had kicked off a couple seniors off the team because they had done some things that were problematic. So I was a sophomore and they kicked these guys off and I started at point guard at the Kibbe Dome in Moscow, Idaho, against the Idaho Vandals and Brian Kellerman. They were very good. They had made the tournament the year before. And we lost a very close game. I played 40 minutes. I had 2 turnovers, like 7 assists, and I was 8 of 9 from the floor, 4 of 4 on 3-pointer, 20 points. And we had the longest 3-pointer in the country, then 22 feet. So that was my best game, 20 points. And I wanted to I said to the coaches, I got to send this to my parents to watch. I got to mail this to them. It's on VHS. They have to watch it. And they called up my 9th grade basketball coach, Jake Moore, and he came over and they put in the VHS and they watched me. But the coaches said, we need that VHS back. We need it back. And I gave it back to them.
Taped over their wedding, right?
Well, they taped over. They would use the same VHS tape to tape all the games. It's like, what a waste of my time here. I mean, anywho.
Now you can put things in your watch. So, Craig, it has been an honor to have you. I'm so excited to have just spent a little time with you. And again, just that brief flash you had at ESPN that led to so much. And it was just awesome to be there with you for a few months. But to watch you grow and to watch you just control your own destiny and do your own thing on your own terms. And I think I really love how you're continuing to do that. And you don't have to answer to anyone because you haven't had the political scandals or any of the DUIs or any of the bad things that they're constantly looking for. So I appreciate you spent a little time with us, and I look forward to helping you and maybe helping out some things for you,
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. And I look forward to watching your movie on Netflix. I should have watched that prior, but I was busy doing what Kilby does.
Well, I had a great story last night in D.C. I was at a cocktail party wrapping up this wheelchair accessibility thing I was at. And this woman came up to me and she started talking, and then she's looking at me and she's going, "Did I just see you?" And I'm like, I just kind of nodded, and she screams it out. And there's a group of men, and she goes, "I saw your big thing on Netflix." And the guys went, "What kind of movie is this on Netflix?" And she was so embarrassed. But,
That's funny.
people still must recognize you and see you. What do they remember you for the most when they see you on the streets?
My
Or in
big
the-
thing. They remember my big thing. No, they say anything from ESPN to The Daily Show to CBS, Late Late Show, or Old School, That's what they say. But now people are saying, "You're the guy with that Instagram."
Plug it one more time.
Oh my God. Are you serious when you do that stuff? What are you thinking? Do you really wear ascots? That's exactly how they sound. I do a lot of voices, by the way.
Yeah. Well, check out the podcast, check out his Instagram, and continue to get him those dividends on those bench warmers and Old School, because they do pay off. So,
Oh, do they pay off? It's
All
going to
right.
pay for my trip to Italy.
woohoo! You taking Troy?
Yeah.
Now that we're
Pass.
friends? Yeah.
I'm going to pass, but if next time I'm in Duluth, the beer is on me, Troy.
All right, come on up.
Well, he owns an arena team up there, right, Troy? Are you still part of that arena
That's
team?
next summer.
Yeah, that's
We
great.
can get you. You could hire him as the play-by-play. He used to do CBA, right? So I mean, it's
Yeah.
awesome for him. So, all right, Craig Kilborn joining us on Geary, Stein, and Stevens once again. Follow us on all social media platforms, and continue to love what we do. Like us on YouTube, all those platforms. But again, it's all because of you guys. Thank you to Roku, the Disability Channel, and everybody that supports us. For Dave, that's me. For Troy, for Craig Kilborn, thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show. Follow us on social media. Watch us on yourhometv.com, or now we're on Roku. Download it and watch us. And thanks for tuning in. Until next time, America.